Hello, my name is Donna Davis, and I would like to welcome you to Flourishing Together Starts Here. I'm honored to be here at a conference that is centered on a very powerful idea, and that is us flourishing together. That phrase matters because we often talk about student success, but not enough about the people holding it all together. Today, I want to talk about faculty well-being, not as a luxury, but as infrastructure. When the people leading learning are overloaded, the classroom will always feel it. This session is designed to be practical, to help lighten the weight that you are already carrying. I am Donna Davis, and I want to take a moment not to just tell you what I've done, but to tell you why I do this work. I have spent over 2 decades in public service, leading at the state level in child nutrition, and that meant managing systems, people, and decisions that impacted thousands of children every day. And on paper, everything looked successful, but what I saw behind the scenes was very different. I saw leaders who were capable, but they were overwhelmed. I saw teams that were committed, but they were stretched. And I saw people showing up every day, caring more than anyone could realize. And what stood out to me was this, that there wasn't a lack of skill, there wasn't a lack of knowledge, and it wasn't a lack of support, but understanding how people behave under pressure was something that was missing, and no one was talking about it. So I started paying attention, not to just what leaders were doing, but how they were showing up in the moments that mattered most. And that is where this work comes from. Today, I serve as a leadership strategist, a speaker, and an AI consultant, helping organizations strengthen leadership capacity, stabilize their culture, and support people in real time. I've had the opportunity to work across education, government, and organization, always with the same focus. How do we help people lead without losing themselves in the process? So faculty are carrying more than course content. They are carrying students' uncertainty, students' emotional distress, along with their own lives. Much of what drains faculty is really invisible. Living in the emotional labor of caring and adjusting. This is why this conference is so timely. Faculty vitality is not a side issue. It's central to higher education right now in this moment where we are. So we must address the person that is behind the professor. This conversation matters because our well being is the very infrastructure of success. So let's start with something honest. Being good at what you do does not protect you from exhaustion. It doesn't. Caring deeply does not prevent burnout. In fact, the very people who care the most are often the ones who are overextended the most in society. And today is not about telling you to care less. We are not going to do that. But it's about helping you carry that care in a way that doesn't break you. We need to shift from survival mode to sustainable presence. So let's name the invisible load. Emotional labor is the effort it takes to stay composed while navigating stress. Hyper responsiveness is that nagging pressure to answer every email instantly. And decision fatigue happens when micro decisions drain your capacity before you even start grading. And permanent urgency is the state where nothing ever feels done. I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way, but when these become chronic, flourishing becomes nearly impossible. And we have to name these in order to navigate them. Sometimes we are thinking about these things, but we are not naming them. I also want to redefine flourishing right now. Flourishing does not mean you never feel stretched or that every semester is going to be easy. That's not what we're going to use as the definition of flourishing. Flourishing means that you are able to remain anchored in the middle of what is demanding. It means that your inner world is not constantly hijacked by every external demand. It means you know how to return to who it is that you are. This is where we begin to explore how to stay steady when the pressure is on. Now, this framework, it is the peace framework. It is my personal framework that I use. It's about getting back to yourself when things get intense. It's a simple way to regulate your emotions in real time. And we're not aiming for perfection here, and I'm not going to go into great detail. I don't have that amount of time right now. But I want to share with you how you can use this framework because this is for recovery. It's about the crucial return to a grounded state. This framework helps you to interrupt that automatic reaction and choose a more intentional path. So I want to break down each step, starting with pause and engage, but just so that we know, peace stands for pause, engage, affirm, connect, and elevate. Okay, we're going to start with pause. Pause is the game changer. I always get laughed when I go into an organization and ask them, do they have time to pause in the middle of the chaos? And of course, they're going to say, no, there is no time to pause. I promise you, pause is the game changer. Our natural inclination is to react immediately to fix things, to push through. But a pause, even just a breath, creates a vital space between the demand and your response. It's very powerful. And there are different ways that we can pause and different grounding activities that we can use even in the midst of the moment that will keep our anxiety down and keep us from responding from a place of emotion. And that takes us to engage, right? Engage, this means being honest with yourself about what you are feeling. It's naming that frustration or overwhelm, and it gives you power over it because what you acknowledge, you can actually manage. Now, I know you are listening to the, but I want you to do this activity with me so that you could understand the power of engaging with our emotions. So I want you to say, I am frustrated. So say it with me. I am frustrated. I want you to notice where in your body are you feeling that? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Do you feel muscles tightening? Where are you feeling it? So now I want you to say, I feel frustrated. Say it with me. I feel frustrated. Did you notice a difference? A lot of people would notice a difference between saying I am frustrated and I feel frustrated. Saying I feel frustrated doesn't hit our body the same way because it's as if that emotion is visiting us and we have not claimed it as our own. So when we have emotions, to engage with them and how they make us feel is to take the power away from them. Because again, what you acknowledge, you can manage. Now let's move into how we affirm and connect. Now, affirm, we pause, we've engaged with our truth. This isn't about false positivity or forced positivity, right? It's about grounding yourself in what's real. It's telling yourself, I can care deeply without taking on everything that isn't mine to carry. This helps to quiet that inner critic that we all have that says you should always be doing more. Affirming is looking at what is difficult in the moment and what part of that do you have some agency around? Whew, today was rough, but I made it through. And I know if I could make it through today, I can make it through another. It's affirming what it is that you do have control over. And then we connect, right? This could be reaching out to a trusted colleague, or it could be a structural connection, like using office hour policies as an anchor. Connection helps you to resist the pull of constant urgency. And from this space of connecting, because we are relational beings. We were created to be in relationship with other people. So I want you to think about who is it that you have that when things are just not going well in the workday, that you could just say, whew, I just need a moment to decompress. I just need someone to listen to me. So make sure that you have connection in place. And once you have connection in place, we can move to a place to elevate. Let's see my slides, y'all. Okay. Elevate is about choosing the next step, but choosing it from a place of clarity and not panic. And these don't have to be huge, sweeping changes, right? Sometimes elevation is a micro decision, like delaying an email response until you're calmer or simplifying an assignment. It's about letting go of the guilt of not doing it all and focusing on what's truly essential. Flourishing isn't about grand gestures. It's built through these small, regulated choices. Now, let's see how this framework plays out in a real world scenario. Okay. Uh, now, this is a scenario that I made up, but I'm sure you can come up with scenarios that are happening every day in your classroom, right? So let's put the peace framework into action. Imagine a student sends an emotionally intense late night email, and you might say, I don't have to imagine that, especially around exam time, right? I don't have to imagine that. But let's imagine that email comes in late, and your instinct, because you are who you are, and the students mean so much to you. So your instinct might be to fix it immediately. Like, oh no, I can't have little Johnny upset about this. Let me, go into fix it mode. But instead, how about you pause, right? And don't reply from that activated state. A lot of times when drama or trauma comes our way with our students, we tend to respond from an activated space because it's in the moment. But let's say you pause, right? And again, there are grounding activities for pausing. But let's say you pause. Don't reply from the activated space and then engage with your emotions and what you are feeling. You understand what they're feeling. How does that affect you? Notice if the guilt or pressure you feel can solve everything, right? And then affirm, remind yourself, I can be compassionate without being the emergency room. That's an affirmation in that moment. I'm compassionate. I'm not the emergency room. And then connect. You can use your syllabus policy or campus resources, anchors for this. And finally, elevate, right? Send a clear, bounded, and kind response during work hours. And this isn't just about managing a situation, it's about practicing sustainable care for yourself. This practice of peace doesn't just help you, it creates a better environment for everyone else. So I would love for you to think of other scenarios where you can practice peace. So one of the things that I do is I teach and train on this around the nation is I tell people you just have to remember a one word, peace. And what part of peace do you need in the particular situation that you are dealing with? Because your well-being isn't just for you. It profoundly shapes the learning climate for your students. So think of your internal state as setting the weather in the classroom. When you are regulated, you provide clearer communication and steadier structures, which creates predictability. And predictability is what our students really seek. This predictability builds students' trust. They feel safer and more engaged when their instructor is anchored. In a chaotic world, your steadiness becomes a powerful tool. Your well being is part of the infrastructure for their education. So, how do we intentionally cultivate that steady presence? I would like to thank you for attending the session. And in the downloads, you do have a practical takeaway. It is a flourishing plan. Yes. And in that plan, it gives you space to identify your warning signs. How do you know when you're slipping into survival mode? It's going to ask you to choose two of the peace practices that you'll commit to using. And finally, it's going to ask you what is your 10% shift. So it's not a complete overhaul, but one adjustment that makes next semester just 10% more sustainable, or even the rest of this semester. Wouldn't that be great? Because your well being is not extra, it's the environment itself. So I want to thank you for the incredible work that you do and for being here today. And on the screen, there's ways that you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you would like to partner with me, there's the QR code that you can set up a meeting. I thank you for taking the time, and I hope to meet you soon.